his question is, what was the point of Paul taking a vow in Acts 21? Does that parallel number 6, kind of like rededication of Torah? Let's go to it. It is the number 6 vow. You're right, and that is the vow of dedication, also generically called a Nazirite vow. And in Numbers chapter 6, we'll pull this on screen for you. And it says, this is when he came back. I'm sorry, I said Acts chapter 21. This is when he came back from one of his trips, one of his missionary trips, and the other disciples were there, and they approach him and say, hey, man, we heard some people talking trash about you. I'm giving you the modern 21st century paraphrase. And he says, let us know that what they're saying isn't true. And he says, because basically, just like today, 2,000 years later, people were slandering Paul 2,000 years ago and saying he's not teaching the Torah. It was Judaism that was slandering him. So guys, I want you to be very careful. Today, if you find yourself slandering Paul and you claim that he's not teaching the law of God, because the last people that were doing that in scriptures, Yeshua called them brood of vipers, liars, murderers, and thieves. Okay, so be careful the company that you keep when you start slandering Paul, because you don't know the law very well and you think that Paul's teaching against the law. This is where we have to mind our words very, very carefully, because this is someone that the Father chose to send to people and was validated by the apostles that were around him, right? So we just want to be careful about slandering people. This is a very serious thing that Father takes serious. So Paul is actively being slandered by the Pharisees, who are stirring up contention. And then the disciples hear about this here in Acts 21, and they ask Paul, look, prove to us that you keep the law. Make sure there's nothing of this report that we've heard. And take, this is therefore, do this that we tell you. We have 4 men who are under a vow. Take them and purify yourself along with them and pay their expenses, so they may shave their heads, and all will know that there's nothing to the things which have been told about you, but that you yourself also walk orderly, keeping the law. The disciples, James, Peter, John, the crew that we know as the disciples, and even the half-brother of Yeshua, they're telling him, look, prove to us you keep the law. And then Paul does it, okay? So he is satisfying their request. He took the man the next day, purifying himself along with them, went into the temple, giving notice of the completion of the days of purification until the sacrifice was offered for each of them. And this is where he gets arrested. But he had already completed the days of purification. So people have tried to say, oh, just because he didn't get to complete it because he gets arrested, therefore it doesn't count. And he was just fooling the disciples. Again, this is stretching. This is people that intentionally try to slander somebody, which I cannot stress enough. Leviticus 19, the Father akins slander to murder. So we want to be very careful with who we accuse falsely. Okay, so this is where Paul is basically telling the disciples, look, man, I keep the law. And he went and completed his purification days, and according to the vow of number 6, in order to show, he even paid for the other guys to have theirs done for what the sacrifices that were needed to complete this. He paid for what it would be to have to go to the priests at the temple to purchase those animals for those sacrifices. So because these guys just didn't have their own farm, right? Paul just came back from a missionary journey. He was gone for months and months. So it's assumed that the whole idea was that the temple itself would have its own livestock and its own necessities for the sacrifices to become and purchased. And then that surplus of money could then be redistributed, according to Deuteronomy 15 and other places, back out to the poor, the widows, the orphans, those in need. That was kind of the economic process of the temple. So this is where he's doing it. Okay. I hope that's a good answer for you, brother.